Welcome to this tutorial on how to clean up data using Power Query. Power Query comes with the latest Excel from 2013 onwards. If it is before that, then you need to add it on. So this is the data that I want to clean up. This is the names of fictitious patients, their date of birth, the GCS in three components, the weight of the patients and the pupillary reaction. So to start Power Query, you click on Data and then you click on Get Power Query, then go to Excel, then click on Browse and you choose the file that you want to clean up. I already opened it before, but here I have to open it into the Power Query. So this is the one that I want to open. I get it down there. Then I say Next. And I choose which sheet, because in case there are more sheets, and you can see the data. And instead of clicking load will take you into the Excel. You have to click on transform data. Now you come to the Power Query console, and in the Power Query console what you are now seeing is the data, and I want to clean it up. And cleaning up data in Power Query is much easier than in Excel. So if I go here, let's say that I want to split this one, I just go to the column and then right click and say split. You should see it there, and split by delimiter, basic. We don't want comma, we want space, and it automatically splits it here. Now you can obviously name it, rename it. You can say first name, good, and you can rename this one surname. Okay, I'm just going to increase the length so you see the data. That's brilliant. So the next thing that we want to do is to add these three components of the GCS into single component, so we get a composite GCS score. So what we do is that we can do it a couple of ways, but you can just highlight the two things that you want to add, then go to add column, and then you say standard add. Okay, so you get then what you call, it has added these two columns and put it here. And what you now want to do is to add this one to this one. So then once again you press command or control, whichever, whether you are using Mac or Windows. So I have now chosen the one that was added and the third one, and once again I click on here and add. Now if you can see that you have now got a column that has added all three previous columns. So what we can do is we can delete the ones that we the one that we created earlier. So now that's all gone, and we can also move it so that it is by the thing. And now we can rename it. So we go here and say rename and say GCS. So you have now got the GCS, and I'll just get you some space so you can see this. Great. Now what you can do is, now here we want to correct these weight to the first decimal place. So what we do is we click on here, then here. So if you go to transform column, and then here it's rounding, and then you want to round it out to the first decimal place. Now it's rounded it up. So now you have got things are corrected to the first decimal place. The third thing that you want to do is basically to have the GCS and the pupillary reaction added onto a new column. So what you do for this one is, once again you go to what you call, you highlight the columns. So so control or command depending on Windows or Mac, and then you go to add column, and it should have merge columns, and you put what the separator you want, and let's say we put comma, and now you can see it immediately has created the column. So now you can see that you have quickly created what you call the same cleaning up that you earlier did in the previous demonstration that I showed you with Excel. So what you want to do is that and you can see all the steps that we took. So if you want to remove any of them, you can click and just click on this one that will remove. So it's quite powerful in that. So now what we want to do is that if you go here, then you would see advanced editor. This is all the steps, and if you can just Control A and copy it and then OK it. And then if you want to bring another one in, so what you do now is that you click on here and Excel sheet and bring in, and this time let's say that we go for the February one. So if we go for the February one, we get the data, we go next and we choose the sheet again, and we say create. So now you can see that the sheet 2 is here, and once again this is how the data was in the first column before we cleaned up. So rather than going through all those steps, what we can do is to go to the advanced editor, okay, and then take all of this out, and you remember you copied it last time, and then you click OK and you see everything is automatically done, so you don't have to redo the whole thing again. Another easy way of doing it is what you call what you do is that you click on a cleaned up sheet, you then click on duplicate, then you duplicate it, okay, and then you can change it to you can change the name. So let's say this one was for January and this one was for, and let's say this is March. Okay, we created this with, and what we do now is so once we have duplicated it, okay, we have the one from February here, okay, then what we want to do is that basically we want to change this file which uses the February data to the file that uses the March data, and where it says now you have March, and the source, what you do is to change the source. Okay, so basically you can easily click here and then go to March, and that should get it. Okay, so now what you will see, and you have now loaded the March source, and then you click here and to the last point, and then it creates the whole thing. So just to clarify, I know that I have been going quite quick to make the video short. So we cleaned up the January, then we copied we used the advanced editor to copy all the steps. Then when we loaded the February one, we went to the advanced editor, then we removed whatever the code was there and pasted the code that we had previously copied from the January cleanup steps. For March, what we did was we copied the February, we duplicated the February, and then we named it March, but we still had the data from February. But what we then did was we went to source, clicked on source, and then we loaded the source, which is the March one, and when we loaded it, it came up with like a one column, but when we clicked on the last step, then the whole thing had been cleaned up. So this way that you have now cleaned up all three files very quickly, and if you have next month, the April one comes, once again you don't have to go through all the steps. You can either load it and copy the code from the advanced editor of one of the previous months and paste it, or you can duplicate this one, and then what you can do is that you can change the source to April and then click on the last step of the Power Query. So once you have created your cleanup, or when you have done your cleanup, then to go back to Excel, you just have to click on close and load, and what it does is that it now loads it loads the first original one that you had opened anyway before you went to Power Query, and now it shows you the cleaned up January, cleaned up February, and cleaned up March. So there you go. If you want to go back to the Power Query, and let's say that you get one for April or May, and you want to clean it up the same way that you cleaned up the previous month's files, then what you do is, once again, you go to data, you go to Power Query, and then here you will see launch Power Query editor. Then it brings up what you have previously worked on, and now you can do add the new file and then clean it up. So that's it. So once again, Power Query has many features. You can actually combine all the different worksheets into one worksheets, but I think this power of cleaning up quickly is very useful when you get every month the same data and that you have to clean up. So you see how you can quickly clean up data using Power Query. I hope you found this tutorial useful. Thank you and wishing you a good day.